Hey guys, how are you today? It's Mo from Programmer Tube. Today I want to show you how to find the shared letters between two strings in C and C++. So if you're interested, let's jump right into it. Okay, so here I am on Visual Studio. Let's go ahead and create a new project. Let's click on File, New Project. From the New Project window, make sure you have Visual C++ template selected and select the console application. I'm going to call this one Shared Letters. Hit OK. On this page, I'm going to click Next, and I'm not going to make any change to the default console application, so just hit Finish. So now Visual Studio created the project for me. Today we want to see how we can find shared letters between two strings. For example, if we have ABC and BCD, then in this case, apparently BC is the shared two letters between the two strings. So let's see how we can do that. First thing, we're going to create a function. Let's call it void shared letters that takes in two string pointers. So const char pointer p1, const char pointer p2. And the reason these are constant characters is because we don't want to change the content of these strings. We simply want to read them and figure out the shared letters between the two. So the trick I'm going to use here, that's going to make this code a lot easier than you think, is by using a bucketing technique where we count in the first string the count of each letter in our first string. So we count how many A's, how many B's, how many C's, etc. Then when we go through the second string, we look at that count. If it happens to be more than 0, that means we have seen this in the first string. Then we can say this is a common or a shared letter between the two. So, okay, the first thing we want to do is always check for input parameters. If null is p1 or null is p2, then in that case, we don't want to use null pointers, so we're just going to return. The user passed in wrong parameters to us. Skip that. All right, now we need to define an integer count of 256, and I'm going to initialize this to 0 so that the counts are zeros. In fact, even a boolean here should be sufficient because we simply want to know if the character was seen before or not. But let's just do the count, it doesn't hurt. So the first thing we want to do is print out a message to the user saying that shared letters between %s first string and %s the second string equals, I'm going to pass in p1 and p2 here just to display the output to the user. So now we want to go over the first string. While contents of p1 is not a null character, we want to increment the count at this character. So we're using the character as an index into the hash table, and then we can say plus plus here. And then at the end we want to say p1 plus plus. Increment the pointer. This goes through the first string until we hit the null character. A shorter way of doing this is actually, we don't need this whole thing. We can just do it like this and also put a plus plus on the p1. So this says contents of p1 and then increment the p1 afterwards. So that should be a shorter form of the same thing. Okay. All right. So now that we counted every letter in the first string, we know how many letters in the first string we have. Now the next thing is to go over the second string, same thing, while contents of p2. And what we're going to do next is the following. First, increment this just so not to forget it. Now I say if count of contents at p2 is greater than 0, that means this letter is actually also in the first string. In that case, we can print it out, printf %c4 character, contents of p2, and that should do it. At the very end, we want to say printf uline character and then done, just to make sure that we're done here. Okay. This looks good. Let's test it out. Let's say shared letters between ABC, for example, and then BCD. To compile and run, hit Ctrl F5 on the keyboard. Run this. Okay, so now it says shared letters between ABC and BCD equals BC. Cool. All right, so that's how you simply find the shared letters between two strings. Okay, so one side effect of this approach is that if you have duplicate characters, let's say we repeat C here multiple times, then what's going to happen is that we're going to actually print out all of them. Let's pretend this is only one C here. Let's do it this way. Control F5 to run again. Okay, so now you can see we have B, C, 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 as many as there are C's in the second string. And that maybe is one approach that people want to do it that way. Another approach is if you only just want to get the shared letters, not the repetition as well, we can simply come here, make a minor modification, say count contents P2 equals 0. Once we find it the first time, we just set it to 0. We don't care about repetition. So let's try it again with this approach. Ctrl F5, yes. Now as you can see, we only get 2 letters, which is what we want in this case. We just want to find out the shared letters. Alright, that's it for this video. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave them down below. Thank you for watching.